Stay at home. Stay safe. The Euro Weekly News. The People's Paper.
Talk Radio Europe.
Daybreak. Presented by Hannah Murrey.
Good morning. Just gone 9:20. With us on the line now is Georgina Carter Pickard. She's a writer who's written for interior design and lifestyle magazines. Her travel memoir, Forever and Olé, spans over a decade of being in Valencia and Galicia. She arrived in Valencia at the age of 26 and knew her new life would never be ordinary. The book will inspire the adventurous, evoke the creative and motivate the disastrous. Welcome to the show, Georgina.
Thanks so much, Hannah.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and well done for getting your book published. It's been a long time coming, I understand.
Oh, it has. Yeah, it has. It's been a big project, but I'm just glad it's finally out there for everybody to read and enjoy now.
So why did you decide to write the book? What was your kind of thought process behind it?
Well, I think really there are so many stories. It was a huge time for us, really, a decade of just ridiculous and insane stories that happened, and it got to the point where I had to sit down and just construct it all together. I did write notes along the way. It actually started when we were stranded in a remote petrol station up in the south of Lyon for quite a while. So I pulled up a cooler and sat on that and just started to write notes, because I just thought, well, this is just it's almost unreal. So I had to start writing these notes down, and the rest just formed sort of naturally from there, really.
Yeah.
And it just sort of happened as we lived it, really, with all the characters we met, all the situations we found ourselves in. It was just a remarkable time, really.
So why were you stranded at a petrol station in Lyon?
Oh, okay. Well, our car broke down, but that was the start of sort of one of a series of complete disasters. After that, then we sort of crashed. We were towing a big caravan because we were using that to take up to Galicia for our project to live in on site while we fixed up a huge ruin project. But it just sort of, we just seemed to be in this situation where things just kept going downhill and downhill, and then things would get better, and then it sort of shows you that life is not a Hollywood dream, really. Things do go wrong, and I think that's the strong sort of part that resonates through the book, really, that there are not always Hollywood endings, but you've just got to make the most of it. You've got to keep being positive and ride with the ups and downs.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean about the Hollywood side of things, especially the idea of, moving abroad and buying a sort of run-down building and converting it into your dream home. I expect a lot of people think, oh, I'd love to do that. Wouldn't that just be amazing? And I'm sure, obviously, you can say from your experiences, it doesn't always happen that way.
Exactly, and I think there's so many elements to the book. It is a big book, and I think the story will resonate with a lot of your listeners, especially during a time when many people are reconsidering the future and thinking of moving abroad in the current pandemic. So, there'll be people that have been furloughed and working from home with the realization that these small changes have actually made a difference to their well-being and family life. So it's just sort of up to that point where they think, well, we're at an extraordinary time. Do we carry on doing the same thing day in, day out, or do we make a change for something else? And I think this really has an element of that. It carries through that people will think, well, hang on a minute, if they can do it, they didn't really know what they were doing, and they still did it.
Yeah. So what took you to Valencia initially?
Well, at the time, this was, of course, before the arts and sciences was up. I think this was at the same time that you moved out, wasn't it? 2003.
Yes.
And so we would have been there around the same time, experiencing the same things going on. And it was very Valencia at that time, and probably still is, very up and coming, and it was an exciting place to be. So I think we chose that. We didn't want to sort of go further south, but it was just a good point to start with. And we started there sort of 40 minutes inland from Valencia City, and just absolutely fell in love with it. And there is so much to see there. I mean, anyone that's been to Valencia will still be discovering places there that they didn't know existed. And of course all the surrounding mountains, which is where we were living. It's just beautiful. So we started off there. And then we started fixing up houses, and then we realised we were priced a little bit out the market there. So maybe we should try something a bit north and wet and wild, and see what fate had in store for us up there.
Yes, I mean Galicia. It's not a kind of it's not one of the main tourist areas, is it? Really, of Spain. You know, it's a beautiful part of the country, but it's not a kind of common place that people tend to go to. How did you end up there?
Well, my stepfather, who features in the book, was actually from that area anyway. So I did have an introduction to it as a teenager. So I did know La Coruña quite well. But obviously, it's a huge province, really. So there's so many beautiful places. And you're right, that it really, people reading the book said that the feedback that I've had, they're saying that it's really the first introduction that they've had to Galicia. They didn't really know much about it. And it is arduous and wet and untouristy, but it's so beautiful. And it's a huge contrast to the south with its rugged beaches and mountains and wolves and seafood. It is just absolutely stunning. But it was just a pleasure for me to write about that, really, and write about we were back and forth, really. So the contrast between the two completely different provinces was so culturally different, and I think that's something that people aren't really aware of. So for me, it was a pleasure to write about that as we explored the area, really.
Yeah. So in terms of renovating a house, what were some of the main issues that you came across?
Oh gosh, we had vipers in the walls. They were baby vipers, so that was okay, but it did frighten the Spanish builder that we took on. He was terrified of that. We had numerous injuries, sort of nails in our head, and lots of big old beams that we were chopping and taking all the woodworm out of. I mean, you name it, things falling down. I almost set fire to the entire house. That was quite a day. So yes, I had to stay away from matches after that.
Was that through frustration, or was that by accident?
No, it was completely by pure stupidity. Yeah.
Oh gosh. So
yeah, we've no way did anything sort of by the book, but we were just learning, and we did it along the way, and we did have a fantastic result with a lot of the properties that we fixed up, really. So hence the introduction to the television programme, which features at the end of the book.
Yes, tell us about that.
So we were contacted by the BBC. They were filming Escape to the Continent, and really wanted to feature our property. There was a few that were selected in the Valencia region, and they wanted to come and have a look. So we had a little meeting, and thought that our property was exactly what the contributors were looking for. A lady that actually is a writer herself. And it went from there. We got selected. The presenter, Anita Rani, came to meet us. So we had a brief chat, talked about the area, and then we had to disappear. It was all extremely professional and exciting, really. So we were ushered off after we spent a week sort of furiously cleaning like we've never cleaned before, and gardening. And then the filming went ahead after 2 days. So that was fantastic, really. And Anita was so gracious. She's absolutely lovely. She's a star.
Oh, and you were renting the place out, weren't you? So did this help for rentals going on TV?
Yeah, it did. I mean, at that point, we had a lot of incidences, and things had changed. I won't spoil it. It's all in the book. But there were some things that sort of changed us and made us reassess our entire lives, really, and what we wanted to do next. We're very much moving forward people, really. So we just wanted to keep moving while we were still excited about things. So that sort of happened a little bit afterwards. But yes, we had a cabin in our woods, in our little bit of woodland, and that was really successful. So that was fantastic. So yeah, we sort of went from there, really.
So why did you leave Spain and go back to the UK? How long have you been there for now?
Well, we were there, we've been there for about 12 years then. It wasn't sort of so much as, let's leave, let's return to Britain. It was just a step towards continuing the dream somewhere else. So the next chapter, really, if you like. But also for me, I didn't want to leave Spain feeling drained of it. I absolutely love the country. And I always hold the most amazing experiences in my life. So I wanted to leave on a high while it was still precious to me, really. And also, I think with all the cabin guests that we had, they were exciting, exploring entrepreneurs as well. So that I wanted to have some of that. They kind of gave me little itchy feet. So I wanted to explore them myself. I felt a bit like, maybe we've been here too long. Maybe it's time to actually move on to do something new. But I didn't want to get to that point where it was kind of, I was feeling drained of it at all. It was nothing like that at all.
So what was your next project? What are you doing now?
Well, we will have to wait and see, but I'm promoting the book at the moment and sort of focusing on that for now, and hopefully writing the next novel. I want to concentrate on fiction, so we'll see where that takes me.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. I do a book show as well, so if you get a fiction book out, let me know and we can have another chat.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hannah. That'd be lovely.
And I have to ask you about your previous career, because really interestingly, you made props for various films, Star Wars, Tomb Raider. That sounds exciting.
Yes, it was amazing. I was so lucky. I just turned up on the door of a model making studio back in Teddington, where I'm from, and the director happened to open the door and gave me a chance. So I think because he had 2 daughters himself, he thought it would be nice if someone gave them a go. So I think he sort of pitied me, really, but it took me in, and I learned from some of the best model makers in the industry, really. Then I moved on to another studio where they were working on some of the George Lucas projects. So yes, I worked on Star Wars. I did the big Ricochet. I did some of the upholstery on the Ricochet for Attack of the Clones, and that was a fantastic experience. Amazing, and there's so much hard work. The guys worked so hard on those props to make it absolutely perfect.
Gosh, it must be wonderful watching a film like that and going, I made that.
It really was. Yeah, it really was. It's lovely. I do have sort of, I have newspaper clippings of all the props and things, but there's so much secrecy, as you can imagine, that goes with things. You have to sign lots of disclaimers and things like that. Yeah. You're not allowed to take photos. They're very secretive, and quite rightly, really. There's a lot of money that goes into the industry, so I guess they have to be protective of it, really. But it was just exciting to be part of that team, really, where you're creating something that's going to be on such an iconic film.
I bet. Well, if people want to find out more about your journey in Spain, particularly Forever and Olé is the title of the book, and people can get it via our website, Tre.radio. It's there to buy in the bookshop section, and it's by Georgina Carter Pickard, who we've been chatting to this morning. Georgina, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Hannah. My pleasure.
Join me, Howard Brereton, for the Friday Conversation. It's my pleasure to share things of interest with you.
Do you remember when we used to go to the chemist to get your photos back and you sort of look, these are good and these? And now, of course, it's just instant and you can look at it, don't like that, we'll delete it. It's completely changed the whole thing, isn't it?
We'll look back at what happened during the week, and I'll keep you up to date with stories that are bubbling away in the background. There's quick updates with the news nuggets, and the phone lines are open for your comments.
The Friday Conversation.
You're my friend and non-believer.
Exactly. That's what we hope.
Presented by Howard Brereton.
1 p.m. on Fridays.
I like the radio.
TRE. Urban Rider bull leather jacket check. Shark Spartan helmet check. Velomaki Speedway gloves check.
Oh, come on, Revzilla. You're only going down the road for a couple of baguettes.
Motorbike insurance from Linea Directa starts from just €77 and comes with cover for gear-hungry nomads. Get some peace of mind and call Linea Directa on 902 123 616. That's 902 123 616.